Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator Ataullahjan, for your presence as a witness today. We're used to seeing you as the chair, and now we're getting used to seeing you as a witness on this bill. I want to address the low conviction rate of human trafficking charges. Only 7% of charges actually result in a guilty verdict. I want you to comment on although you have explained it a bit because it's a fear-based model and the onus is on the victim. But I'd like you to help us understand how this new model will shift the onus on the perpetrator. And do you believe that the conviction rate will rise as a result of this?
Thank you, Senator Omidvar. I think it will, because what we have heard in the research that we have done is that, and I often ask this question, is how do you prove fear? You know, some people, they were not afraid when they were being trafficked because it was a loved one who was doing that to them. And I remember with the research we did, this one survivor who, when she found out the person who was trafficking her was going to be testifying, and she was testifying before him, she asked, "Can I get my makeup?" She still wanted to look good because that was her mindset. So I think if we take the onus away from survivors and victims having to prove fear, it will put, the onus on the perpetrators for them to defend themselves, and it will make it easier for the convictions, because we're seeing currently 7 to 8%, have been prosecuted. Also, there's too much responsibility on the shoulders of survivors. Some of them who don't even identify as victims. So we're hoping that once we pass this bill, it will help.
Thank you. Do I have a quick follow-up, Senator Hartley?
Yes, you do.
So Senator Ataullahjan, you also mentioned in your presentation that most human traffickers fail to be convicted of human trafficking, and they are convicted of another related offense, which then leads to likely lower penalties and lower periods of incarceration, etc. Do you believe that charges of human trafficking have a greater chance of sticking and therefore leading to greater chances of levying appropriate punishment on these individuals?
I do, because as I mentioned in my speaking notes, that quite often when the defense attorneys turn on the survivors, on the victims, calling them liars, and we have young women and sometimes men who are vulnerable and who cannot stand up to that questioning, and they will often recant, or they'll get confused, or they will draw the case. But now, if that we change it, that changes that they don't have to prove fear. They don't have to worry about making, like, convincing the judges that we were afraid. This is what happened, and they stand there. This is what happened to us, and the onus is on the perpetrator to prove whether what he did. The victim, the survivor, will not have to prove anything, and I think that will help. That will definitely help. From what we hear, it will strengthen. I'm not a lawyer by profession. I am just a senator who, when I heard this, and I thought, how wrong is this? And elsewhere in the world, we're a little bit behind. They don't have to prove. The victim doesn't have to prove a fear. So I thought this will strengthen, the hands of the law and the judiciary, and I think the witnesses to follow, they would probably be better suited to answer the legal questions. I'm just sort of, speaking from the heart and trying to do what is right by survivors and victims.
Thank you very much for this, Senator.